So you're in your 30s or 40s, you've been working behind a desk your entire career, or maybe jumping from job to job, and you think, screw it, I'm gonna work with my hands, I'm gonna learn a trade. Well, first of all, good on you. I think it's a great decision. Becoming an electrician about 21 years ago was the best decision that I ever made. But my comment sections are always filled with people asking, hey, Carl, I'm blank years old. Is that too old to get into a trade? Well, the answer is complicated, but I'm gonna do my best to give you the pros and cons of getting into a trade a little bit later in life. Welcome, I'm Carl Morawski, and this is a channel that helps you own better, look better, and live better. Now, before you start Googling which trade is best for me, let's talk a little bit, okay? No BS. I see a lot of people who talk about the trades, the earning potential, it's AI proof, etc., when they've never actually worked in those jobs themselves. And as anybody will, I'm sure, that really doing something and learning about it theoretically are two completely different things. So you need to know the pros and the cons. So that's what I'm here to tell you about. Again, as I mentioned, I've been an electrician for 21 years. Before that, I was an auto mechanic and tow truck driver, so I've been in the blue collar world my entire life. And I hope some of these insights help you decide whether getting into a trade is for you or not. Let's start with the pros, because I'm a positive guy, and the first thing is life experience is really a cheat code. Now, if you've been in the working world for any amount of time, you know about taking responsibility, showing up on time, actually arriving to work to do the work, which is a lot more than I could say for some of the kids who come out to our jobs. You may also have a newfound appreciation for being out in the fresh air and working with your hands and the kind of satisfaction that comes from a job well done. Number two, the money can still be great. Now, of course, being in a trade is not a get-rich-quick scheme, and it takes a while because you have to go through an apprenticeship, most likely. But once you become licensed, or maybe you own your own business, or you just go with a union contractor, you can make some real money. And a great resource that you may want to check out is, I think it's Union Pay Scale or something like that. I'll link it below if you want to go check it out. But there you can sort by trade, by state, and by city to see which ones are paying the most in your area, because it varies like wild across the United States. It's amazing how different people get paid to do similar jobs. The best thing to do is go and take a look at the jobs that pay the most, because that's the reason that we all show up to work. Of course, these jobs have to be available. You have to be willing to do them. And you want a job that has some longevity in it. That's the reason that I chose electrical. But there are a lot of different trades out there. And of course, I'm speaking in generalities here. These are a lot of broad brush terms, but that's the only way to really make a video like this. Number three, everybody talks about job security, and that can be true in the trades. It's definitely not something that AI is gonna take over anytime soon, and I think that any kind of manual labor type trade, unless it could be automated or maybe like a robot or something, is gonna be around for a while, and that's a good thing. However, it's not always a sure thing. I mean, I remember 2008. Before 2008, we were doing a lot of residential, but then the housing market collapsed. Well, at that point, you gotta pivot. And I was able to go and try to do some commercial work, which is actually what I do now. But you can be tenacious and you can work your way around. I have never been laid off more than 2 weeks in my entire career. And so I think that says something for the longevity and the job security that you have in the trades. But again, it depends on your area, it depends on your trade, it depends on a lot. So while this is a pro, it's not exactly a surefire bet. Number four, it is satisfying, I gotta tell you. It really, when you stand back and the lights come on in a building that you did, or you see a rack of conduit going up, or whatever specific trade type of thing. I can imagine if you're an operator and you're clearing a site, just standing back and seeing what you've done, there's a real sense of satisfaction. This isn't something that you submitted, it's not something that you emailed, it's something that you actually did with your own hands. And there is a real job satisfaction in that. I gotta tell you this much, I still drive around now, and really it drives my kids crazy, pointing out buildings that I've worked on. And I have never, ever shown them a spreadsheet that I did with the same kind of pride and job satisfaction. So that is definitely a big pro to getting into a trade. Number five, there is a sense of camaraderie within the blue collar brotherhood that you just maybe don't get anywhere else. And again, I've never worked every single job, so I can't really speak to that. But I will say that when you've gone through some together, you really do bond. And working on jobs where you're out maybe at dark, or maybe you're in a different, I've had to go to different states to work, and you kind of live there with people, just going through hard times with others around you creates a bond. And I will say that I've made some really good friends through my work. I'm not really sure that that exists in other places. It certainly doesn't seem to exist in the office worlds that I've seen. And maybe it does, but what I do know is that it's IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I mean, brotherhood is right in the name. So that sense of camaraderie is a real thing. All right, let's talk about the cons, because no industry is perfect. And again, this is gonna vary widely from place to place, trade to trade, job site to job site. And this is the stuff that I really don't hear people talk about very much. They talk about the pros and all the earning potential and all that stuff, but nobody really talks about the cons. And there are definitely cons to working a trade. Number one, the biggest one, is that it is physically demanding. Now, not all trades are the same, okay? So if you have a general laborer, he's not gonna have the same type of day as an equipment operator. So, there's some variation there. But by and large, you really just need your body to do your work. And that's a finite resource. So your knees, your legs, your back, all of those things are gonna inform your decision as to whether this is a good job for you or not. And I gotta tell you this much, as a younger man, I definitely recovered quicker. I was able to do more. I had more energy than I do now in my mid-40s. So, they say it's a young man's trade. And there's a certain amount of that that's true, but if you really take care of yourself, if you exercise, if you eat well, if you're in good health, there's no reason that you couldn't start a successful career in the trades in your 30s or your 40s, getting into your 50s, maybe if you're one of these outlier kind of people. But if you've taken care of your body, that's great. If you've lived a sedentary lifestyle though, behind a desk, starting work with your hands, up and down ladders, around the job site, all the stuff that you have to do, might be a little bit of a shock to the system. The second con is that you're probably gonna be taking orders from people who are much younger than you are. So just swallow your pride, do the work, you will learn a lot. But definitely taking orders from a 25-year-old kid probably doesn't sit well with a lot of people. I remember a job I was working on a long time ago. I was the foreman and there was about, I think, 7 or 8 guys on it, and they used to call me OMC, Old Man Carl. And I was 29, and the rest of them were just like, pretty fresh out of trade schools, a bunch of apprentices for the most part. And a lot of times for them, it was like they were talking about things from their generation, whether it was, Vine at the time or whatever, and I just couldn't jive. So that age discrepancy sort of made for some lonely lunch hours. Number 3, you're gonna be starting from the bottom again. And if you've climbed the ladder in whichever industry you've been working in, this can be a little bit difficult to go all the way back to square one and learn about things that you've never heard or seen before. Now, the best thing to do is simply embrace it, enjoy that time, because once you get past your apprenticeship, you realize how good you had it. Now, people who are on the bottom rung are usually kind of known as gophers, right? Which means that they basically go for tools or equipment or whatever it is, so you send them back to your Connex box or your trailer or whatever to get you what you need. But I think taking that time to learn the parts and pieces of the stuff that you're gonna be working with in the future is key. So when somebody says, hey, run to the Connex and grab me a Mineralac, you know what that is and you know where it is. And then eventually you'll be saying the same thing to somebody who's beneath you. But just be wary if they send you out for a wire stretcher or a left-handed screwdriver or this urban legend I keep hearing about called a broom. The fourth con is financial. I mean, you're gonna be taking a little bit of an income hit, especially if you've worked yourself up in a different career and you gotta start at the bottom again. Well, your pay is commensurate with your experience. But then again, it can pay off. I mean, in my area, it's not rare to find electricians who are making 6 figures all day long. And I like to look at career shifts like this, like shifting gears in your truck. You're gonna start out at a lower RPM, but your potential to go faster is there. So you can grow a lot more within these trades than maybe you can at the dead-end job that you're leaving. Another thing, especially when I compare my job to my wife's job, is that a lot of times, a lot of these contractors, they don't have any sort of bonus structure. So where my wife will be getting a really nice end of the year bonus, a lot of times the biggest bonus that you're gonna see might be a company sweatshirt and a handshake. That's kind of common. So if you're used to big bonuses every year, I wouldn't really count on that. And the fifth one is culture. Oh my God, there's a big culture shift from the blue collar world to the corporate world. And if you're not prepared for this, it may be a little bit of a shock. Good-natured ribbing, hazing, and downright bullying are very, very common. Things like parking close to the job or using indoor toilet facilities are an absolute luxury. I found the best way to cope with these challenges is just to adopt a phrase that I've heard the Marines use, which is embrace the suck. You're gonna be on a job. It's gonna be difficult. You're gonna be working in the elements. You're gonna be working in the heat, the cold, depending on your region, of course. You're gonna have to deal with all of these different things. And it's all part of it. And everybody else around you is going through the same thing. So whether you can do that and you can endure those things or not, will really mean you're cut out for the trades or you're not. So is it worth it? Honestly, yeah. Like I said in the beginning, becoming an electrician was one of the best things that I ever did with my life. If you like building things with your hands, if you're okay with starting at the beginning again, if you're eager to learn and you're in relatively good shape, well then a switch to the trades could be just the thing that you're looking for. But it's not easy. The road is long, the hours are early, and the work is tough, just like it should be. You don't have to be 18 to start your career as a tradesman. You just have to be hungry and eager to learn. If you know somebody who's looking to make a career shift into the trades, I'd appreciate if you'd share this video with them. And if you're watching this and you're already in a trade, drop me a comment below and let me know when you started. A lot of people start later than you think. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe out there.